deciding where to install the leak defense system, the key first decision is where to put the valve with the actuator. You want it to be inside protected area if at all possible. You want it to be an easily accessible area so you can get to it. And so what we found here in the basement is a nice pipe that's easy accessible. This one happens to be horizontal, which is great. So basically what we would do is look to say, okay, we're going to put the leak defense system in. We have a shutoff valve, which is great, which will want to obviously shut off the water before we install the system. We also have power, a GFI outlet over here, which is great and easy to get to. So basically what we'll do is have our licensed plumber go ahead and cut the pipe, install the leak defense system here. You can see it tells you the direction of flow, so you know which way water should flow. And the nice thing about having it here too is it's easy to get to. If we ever have to override it and manually change it to a manual open and close of the valve, we have it here very easily accessed. We'll get into some of the other discussions about the control panel and other things, but the first thing is where to put it. It's in a nice protected area here in the basement and it's easily accessible. So now we've decided where you're going to put the valve and the actuator. We're already decided it's going to go here on the pipe. The next question, and the one that many times becomes the most important, is where to put the control panel where you interact with the system. The reason it's so important is because if we left the control panel down here in the basement, that would be fine, but we're not in the basement a lot, so it's a situation where if it alarms, we don't know it until we realize the water's shut off. So it's ideal to put this in what we call a high traffic area, somewhere you're going to see it or interact with it. As of this month, we are launching the wireless control panel. We have our traditional wired control panel, which runs a wire from the valve or actuator to wherever you want to install this. So if we were going to install it here at the top of the basement stairs, it might be just as easy to use the wired panel and put it at the top of the stairs. The nice thing though is now you have the option of the wireless control panel. You can put it wherever you want as long as you have an outlet. It communicates wirelessly between the valve and the actuator and the actual panel. So if you want to put it in your bedroom, you can do that. If you want to put it next to your alarm panel, you can do that. If you want to put it in your kitchen, you can do that. And if you want to move it around, you can do it. So it's a nice advance, really cool to have, easy to have. And coming up shortly in a few months, you'll be able to also manage this with an app. So you'll have an app where you will be able to manage your water from anywhere in the world using this wireless control panel. So you have a couple of great choices. The key thing is you want it to be someplace where it's easily accessible and where you're going to hear it when it alarms. Right now what I'm going to do is take a moment to show you how to wire up the wired control panel, or the one that is wired from the valve to the panel. So if you look in the back of the panel, there are 4 connectors here. From left to right, it'll be red, green, black, white. And to make that easier, since most of you don't have small enough screwdrivers, most plumbers don't carry them this small, we offer you and give you a free screwdriver in the packet. So make sure when you open the box you don't lose it, because you'll need it to put these wires in those terminals. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in the terminals, and I'll be back in about a minute once I do that. Magic, and you didn't even have to wait. All 4 are in, red, green, black, white, from left to right, we're good to go. Just so you know, the wire comes in 10-foot standard lengths. If you want it longer or shorter, just let us know, we'll be glad to do it. And it comes with a LAD connector, which is a durable, weatherproof connector, which you can put wherever you want. But the nice thing is we've got the system ready to go. You just plug it in, no more wiring, just those 4 simple terminal connections, and you're good to go. So this is our wireless control panel for the leak defense system. You can see it's colored, touchscreen, very simple to use. Like our traditional screen, it has the flow bar at the top, has the trip rate at the top as well, which sets the sensitivity. You have home, away, standby. If you want to go from home to away, you just touch on the away button and it automatically switches to away. If I wanted to go back to home, I could do that. Also, if I wanted to change the time to alarm, I just push this on the right, put in the new time that you want. Let's say 10 minutes for argument's sake. Press it again and it selects it. The nice thing also is it shows flow. So you can see right now there's no flow, the water is off. Now we turn the water on and we'll see that the trip rate will come on, and you'll see that the light will show above the trip rate. So you can see when water is flowing, when it's not. Obviously when the light is on, it's showing that it is above the trip rate and the clock is running. But then if you were to switch to away again, it will reset itself. Again, we turn the water off so no water is flowing. So very simple to interact with. And the nice thing is you can see it from across the room. Because even here, the water is flowing, there's a small green light showing that the water is on. If the water is off, you'll see I turn the water off. I'll go back to that main screen, and now you'll see there's a red light which shows that the water's off. So we see that the water is on or off, very simple and easy to do, and you can install this panel wherever you want it. Okay, I'm so excited. We're ready to get this thing started. So we have found the right place to put the valve in. We put it in. Plumber did a great job, soldered it in. We're good to go. We just put the panel here close by just so we can show how it works, because it's so, but you can put it where you want. Again, we talked about that with the wired panel. So first I will plug in the panel. So that's now connected, and next I will connect the power. When it first gets power, the valve will close and then open back again to make sure it's fully functional. And in a second you'll hear a beep here as the panel actually accepts the power that it has. There it is, and now the panel powers up. So now we're good to go and we're ready to move towards calibration, but we know the system is set up and ready to go. So here we are with our touchscreen. Let's talk a little bit about how to calibrate the system. Has time and date across the top, has the flow bar showing if there is flow or not and at what level of flow is. It's in the home mode now. Let's go into program and let's do the actual calibration as if we were going to do it at home. So you go into program, because whenever you want to program it, that's what you do. Then to settings. You do zero span. The reason it's called zero span is we're setting the span of what the flow bar is. So you'll turn some water on, and usually this current, which is up here, you can see right now it's at 0 because there's no flow, will bounce up to somewhere between 200 and 300 typically. When it does, you just press the max flow and you capture that result. That's simple to do. The one that's a little more challenging is the min flow. You now turn the water off, wait maybe 30 seconds to a minute to let the house settle down, to let all the water settle down and make sure water's not flowing. You can also always go over here to the actual valve on the house and turn off house water, but typically it's better to just leave the water on and just let it settle down. Then you press the min flow button. When you press the min flow button, something happens. It captures that min flow, but it also closes the valve. So once you allow the valve to close, you've captured the min flow, you press end. And you'll see that it goes to turn on water because it knows the valve is closed. So after you've calibrated, you need to turn the water back on. So we've now turned the water back on and you'll hear the valve opening. So now you're good to go as far as the calibration. It now knows when water's flowing, knows when water is not flowing. The next thing you want to do is to set both the sensitivity, which is the flow rate, which is this arrow below the bar graph, and the time to alarm. In other words, how long do you want to allow water to run when you're in the home mode? So let's go ahead and program the home mode here. Program. Let's do flow to alarm first. Flow to alarm is just this arrow along the bottom. So I'm just going to move it, and you'll see the arrow move a little bit as I'll just stop, and now you'll see the arrow move over. There you saw it. So you exit. That's the sensitivity. So now let's calibrate the time to alarm, excuse me. And the time to alarm, so now it's set for 5 minutes. Normally in an average home, you're probably going to set it at 30 minutes in the home mode, which means 30 minutes of continuous water flow before it alarms. So it's that simple to select. You go 30. Oh, I want 20. No problem. You got 20. No, I want 30. That's simple. You select it and you're good to go. If you have it set for your home security system, if you arm your home security system, it'll automatically go to away, and then when you disarm it, it'll automatically come back to home. But if you have to do it by hand, you just do that. Now it's in the away mode. The away mode, you still want to program both the time to alarm and flow to alarm because you're going to want it much shorter. Even if you have a teenager at home, when they're not home, then you really want to bring it down to maybe 5 minutes, 3 minutes, something like that, and maybe even make it a little more sensitive. But let's go back to the home mode. How do I do that? It's very simple. Just touch home. And before I let you go, there's only one other thing I want to show you because it's probably the most important thing that we hear people say, oh, I love it. And that's the turn off water. The water's on now. I want to turn the water off. The water's on. Do you want to turn it off? Yes, I do. You press the turn the water off, the valve closes. So if you have a leak that comes up that you immediately want to stop, if you have a plumber coming over that's going to do some work, you can easily turn the water off. And now it'll tell me water's off. I'm going to turn the water back on. So while the valve is opening, I'm going to say thank you so much for joining us, and now you have a good understanding of how to calibrate and set the leak defense system.